guys, it's Mike from Mike's Fishing Reel Repair. We're going to be working on this Shimano 1200D. So the customer brought it to me. It's kind of seized, don't want to turn. It's all frozen pretty much. So we're going to take it apart and see what's wrong with it. I've already bought some parts for it. Got some bearings, anti-reverse little switch here. Because the one that's on here is broken. We have a anti-reverse clutch that we're going to replace. Also got an anti-reverse cam. I worked on one like this from the same customer, and I had to replace one of these. So all right guys, just hang in there and I'll show you what we need to do to get this thing working. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the spool off, see what we're looking at. It's a little dirty. Put that aside for now. We'll leave that for later. So the rotor is moving, but that's a good sign. At least it's turning. It feels very dry. All right, we're gonna take this. Rotor off. Put some gloves on. Got a feeling this is gonna be a really big mess. The last one I worked on was really corroded. The owner had never serviced his reels. So a lot of times with these Shimanos, these types, the water gets inside them, and the bearings become really rusted. So when that happens, the reel gets all frozen up. And that's what I'm seeing right now. A lot of old grease and dirt. Seems very muddy. Yeah, let's get this nut loose. Actually, first I'm going to take off this plate, this nut plate. I'll take that off first. That's not the right size. Let's see. I got too many screwdrivers now. One of them fits. Jeez. Now when you need something, you can't find it. And when you find it, you don't need it. Okay, let's do this again now. So I'm gonna take this plate off. I have a feeling when I get in there, it's gonna look really bad. Well, the good thing, it's nice and loose, so get at it really easy. Oops, last time I worked on the other one, the nut was so corroded that when I pulled it off, it cracked. So I had to reorder him a new one. So like I said, it's really dirty, as you guys can see. Man, look at that. That's pretty, oops. That's pretty bad. Really, really bad. So we're looking at a lot of rust, sand, dirt, the works. Nope, I'm just gonna take this. All right, should have did that in the beginning. Let's get this handle off. I'll put this roller back on and take the handle off. And oof, that's really bad. I'm seeing a lot of bad corrosion inside that anti-reverse clutch. All right, so I get this out. I need to get a bigger table, a bigger workbench. This one's kind of small. I'm out of room here. All right. So let's open this side plate. Actually, first I'm going to take off this part here. So when you're taking your parts apart, try to keep everything nice and neat, so that way, be easy to put them back on afterwards. All right, this is on there pretty tight, so we see a small screwdriver. There's a lot of corrosion, Supposed to be a washer here. Okay, the washer's still there, which is a good sign, because the last one I worked on, that little washer spacer here was so corroded that it rotted. So we got, that one's still there, which is a good thing. Take that, put that aside. All right, let's open this sucker up and see how it looks inside. So I believe these 3 screws here are the same, and then these 2 are the same, if I can recall. Jump a little smaller. So when you do this, if you decide to do it yourself, you're probably going to need 2 different size Phillips heads. This one's a little. And if you don't have Phillips head, you could actually use a screwdriver. These screws are meant to use a screwdriver on them, so. It's a little better size Phillips head. That one fits better. So I might as well replace all the bearings on this reel. Like I said, it's never been serviced, so yeah. So those 2 are the same size. The other 3 should be all the same also. Now, that anti-reverse cam looks like it's going to probably give me a hassle trying to get it out. And the reason why I say that is because I am seeing a ton of corrosion right inside here, if you can see that. I don't know what that glob of, you can see that? It's like some kind of white crud there. So I'm assuming that's So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the clutch. Let's see. Make sure that that's the correct screw. I believe so. I believe the two colored ones stay there. Oof. That's pretty frozen. That's pretty frozen on there. Not supposed to be. As you can see, all this dirt is coming out. Yep. Never been serviced. It's always good to service your reels. Once a year, service your reels. That way you don't encounter these problems. Oh my goodness, look at this. Well, like I said, pretty bad. So now that I did that, everything's turning nice and easy. So that clutch is trash. I'm hoping I can salvage. There's a little part on here that I need. Hoping I can salvage that piece that I need for the anti-reverse cam. If not, I'm gonna have to get online and order the piece that I need. Oh, brother. And it's so tiny. It's right there. Hopefully I can get it out without any problems. And the spring. Hopefully they can salvage the spring. That'll be another part that I would have to order. Well, we'll see what I can do. At this time right now, I'm not gonna try to salvage anything that has to do with that cam. That cam is just, it's gone. That's a lot of crud there. Screws, put the screws away. Seems like those two are the same. I'm gonna have to clean this all up later. All right, let's get this rubber. Yeah, so this is really bad. So over here we have this like a rubber seal. So we want to remove that rubber seal without doing any damage to it. So yeah, usually these come right off really easy, but this one is just, it's just so much corrosion. Jeez. Now when you're doing this and if you encounter dealing with a reel that's this bad like this one, you know, take your time, don't rush. There we go, we got that seal out. You know, no need to rush, especially when the reel is this bad. So that bearing might be good, this one on this side, but we'll see. We will see. I'm gonna pop open this cover. So this is probably gonna be tricky. Well, maybe not. Some of them come out really easy, some of them are really hard to come out. Oh, here we go. So it don't look too bad on the inside. Well, that's a good thing. One problem I'm seeing mostly right now is all on top of this area here. And all right, guys, I'm gonna shut this off for now. We'll do some cleaning, and I gotta attack this cam, so I gotta get this cam out, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, guys, so I took all the parts out, the main pinion gear and stuff like that. So I actually tested one of the side bearings. Seemed like there was nothing wrong with the bearing. I'm gonna test this one. This one feels great too. I guess we won't have to replace them. This one here, it seems like it's working, but I'll probably replace the main one here. Definitely. Well, we'll test it, we'll see. So right now it's frozen inside the casing here from all the rust. And the cam is completely shot. So we're definitely gonna have to get that cam out. I tried to see if I could grab it with the pliers and see if I can turn it. And it's so corroded inside there that it snapped. So I will be doing a little bit of drilling. And the other piece that's inside here, inside this little piece here, we'll drill that out because I had to do that last time. All right, so I will work on getting this bearing out with the pinion gear, and we're gonna take this shaft out, this cam, I'm sorry, and I am trying to salvage that little ring there. If you guys can see that, it's like a little tiny ring right here on the cam. We're definitely gonna need that. Hopefully I can get that one out to put on. Oops, on the new one. Goes right on the tip there. All right, stand by. All right, guys, so we ended up getting that anti-reverse cam out. It was really corroded in there. I had a hard time with it. I got to salvage the little spring plus that little part that I needed for the tip of the anti-reverse cam, which is on the cam now. I put it on there. I cleaned it up. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's right here. Oops, it's right there. It's like a little donut that pops right on that tip there. And the back side of the original, this little piece was ended up breaking off, and then broke off inside where it sits in the reel here. So I had to drill that out very slowly. So if you decide to do it yourself, make sure you're very careful to not over drill, because you don't want to break or ruin the case of the reel. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna replace all the bearings. This is one of the new ones. These are the two old ones. I mean, they seem fine to me, but you know, overall, hey, what the heck? Might as well put all brand new bearings in there. You know, start fresh. All right, guys, I'm gonna clean it all up, service the reel, and get back to you guys. So stand by. All right, guys. So the reel is all nice and clean now. We added all new grease, serviced the bait runner already. It wasn't that bad. I already fixed the camshaft, the anti-reverse cam, put that in already with the new plastic flip switch here, working good. Okay, got all the new bearings, got those two new bearings in there. Already greased up the main pinion gear, the cross wind gear, the main gear. So we're gonna start putting this back together. Now this reel, these Shimano's, when you put the main gear in with the cross wind gear, oscillating gear, there's these little arrows on there, and you want to match them up, because if you don't, the reel won't work right. It will turn, and then it will get to a rough spot, and it will just get stuck. So you want to make sure you line those up. If you get the schematic for it, it will show you on the schematic. If not, take pictures before you disassemble the reel, you know, and it'll make it a lot easier in the assembly part when you're putting everything back together. Okay, so let's see, where we're gonna start. All right, I need that little piece. It's a little plastic piece. Okay, we're gonna put that inside here. So you got this little plastic piece. It's like a weird type of Star Wars looking plastic washer type of thing that's going to go inside here, and you got to have just like this little tiny groove, like a little tiny thing that sticks in there. So you want to put it in correctly so it stays snug and it doesn't pop out. So if you use a screwdriver like me, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, probably not, but anyways, it's right in there. And it fits just like that. If you watch the video, you might have to zoom in. Okay, so now we're going to take main bearing. We're going to slide it on. The pinion gear, we're going to slide that in. Just like that. Nice and smooth. So I added decent amount of grease because of, you know, how bad the erosion was. So I'm figuring if I do that, it will protect everything a little better. I don't recommend putting a lot of grease, but for this customer we're going to add a little extra, just so that way when he comes and has the service again, it won't be so bad. All right, so now I think what I'm going to do now is put the new anti-reverse clutch. So this is the new anti-reverse clutch. And we're going to have this little piece here. And we're going to go over like so. And you want that piece to go over the anti-reverse cam. So there's like these two little notches. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that's snug down on those two notches like that. Let me see, I want to make sure I want to get ahead of myself because I do have a rubber seal that I got to put on. I think I can get this started now, so let's do that now. Oh, I gotta find the right screwdriver. I gotta get a bigger bench table. This one's a little too small. So I like to go in a star. Tighten it that way, everything's snug down, nice and even. So I recommend that. Don't over tighten your screws because you will strip them. Get them just nice and snug like that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to get our crosswind gear. All right, so put that in. Now we're ready to put everything back, and we need to line up this main gear with our crosswind gear, and they have these little arrows that you got to match them up. They're on here and they're also on there, so you got to kind of line them up. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to line that up now. Oh, that doesn't seem right. All right, let's see. So like I said, if you don't line it up correctly, what could happen is when you spin the reel, it's just not gonna, you're gonna feel some kind of tension at one point and then it just gets stuck, so you don't want that. All right, so now we drop our shaft in. And you might have to do this more than once, because what we want to do is, now we're going to put this clip in here. right, so then when you put the clip in and your shaft, like so, now what we want to do is we want to turn it to see if there's any tension. That's what it seems like, that's what's happening. I'm getting that tension. So right there it gets stuck. So obviously it's just not lined up. So we want to keep playing with it until we get it correct. Because if we don't, it's just not going to work. So you might have to do this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. Depends until you get it right. You know? So it's a pain in the butt, but that's the way they made it. So actually, you're gonna pull that shaft up a little bit. Oh, we're not gonna get this main gear out. So we just keep on playing with that until we get it lined up correctly. I don't know. Nope. Still not right. So sometimes it's best to take everything back out. It's a tough one. You got all that grease in there. I think it goes like this. Let's see. That gear, crosswind gear that they have here, it's not perfectly round. It's kind of like a weird oval shape. And so what it does is it just, if it's not sitting correctly, it will have that stiff right there. It's stuck. Still not right. I said it takes a while. So I'm gonna shut this off and I'm gonna keep playing with it until I get it, and then I'll come back to you guys. Okay, after a good 5 minutes playing around with it, I finally got it. Boy, it's really tough. So you kind of want it to be nice and smooth like this. You don't want to have any type of, you know, tension, or, you know, you feel like, oh, it's just not, it's getting stuck. You don't want that. You want it to be freely, and you want it to go nice and smooth, so that way you know you got it just right. Okay, so now we're gonna tighten this up. And get this buttoned up here, since we got that, because we don't want that to come back out. Sorry guys, sometimes doing videos, it's just not my thing. All right, that's all set. Got a lot of oil and grease on my hands. So now we're gonna put on this part here. It's for the bait runner. So when you put this on, you wanna slowly and carefully pop these all in here. And then we put our 2 screws in. Put our 2 screws in. We got one that goes here. I usually put a little grease on them just so they kind of go in nice and smooth. If anything, you might want to use your pick. I usually use a pick to kind of line up the holes. I just push down on it. I also want them to pop into, it's like these little notches that you want them to pop in. So I usually put, pop them in notches and then press with your thumb down to make sure that it stays down. Button that one up, yeah, like so. Make sure you don't over tight. Just want them nice and snug. Grease on that one. I'll get this one in there also. I had another Phillips screw driver here that worked really well, and I just can't find it. I have so much stuff on my bench, but let's try this one. This works okay. Okay, so that's all set. Just brush just a tiny bit of grease, not a whole lot. Tiny little grease on the top just for protection, you know. Alrighty, so now we get this rubber seal that goes around this edge here. What I like to do is just slightly put a little bit of, rub some grease on it, just a little bit for protection and for seal out any type of water or debris that decide to come into the reel. And you know, just take your time putting this on, because it is kind of hard to slide it on there. And that goes all the way down. Just remember, you can use your pick. You want it to go over and down, all the way to the bottom, yeah. You want it to fit inside this little groove. Sometimes I use my pick to help me. If you've got big fingernails, you can use those also. Just like that. You don't want to, oops. I don't want to go like that, but just like that. I want to pop that in just like that. Okay. Now we're ready to put the cover on, side cover. And just like that. It's got a little bit of corrosion here that needs to be wiped away. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, guys, is it's a little tight. When you put it on, you want it to make sure you get that little snap. Sometimes they're a little stubborn, but you want it to snap in all snug. Something that's kind of holding it back here. Not sure what. Sometimes these reels do this. So let's see. Could be that right there. Let me see. Yep, that's what it was. It was that, just that little piece of washer there, little sticking out. All right, so I'm gonna screw this down, and I'll get back to you guys in a minute. And then we're going to put the rotor on. So we got this work on that side plate on now. Everything. I put the handle on to just give it a quick test. It feels really nice. So we're going to put this aside. We're going to check out the bail. Doesn't seem like there's really nothing much to do with the bail and the rotor. I'll probably just give some, you know, clean it up, and put some oil. Basically what I do is just put a little bit of oil in between here. So that will help it just go a little smoother. And kind of just want to work that oil in there. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, because that oil would just get right inside that crack. All right. You can put a little tiny bit of oil over here too on your line. There's a bearing inside there also. Okay. Now underneath here, so it's not much, it's just this little weight that's here, and basically what I like to do is I'll throw a little bit of WD like that. Oops. Oh, something fell. Get my wire brush. And what we'll do is, just to clean it up a little bit, kind of just scrub that out of there, that rust. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of just get that rust out of there, because that just gets inside your rotor. Doesn't have to be perfect, but get a lot of that rust out like that. Q-tip. And just do the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, just get a lot of that rust out of there. Inside there looks good. Don't really have too much in there. Could probably just put a little bit of WD in there, like that. Just get that should be fine. And the only thing we got to basically do is pretty much just kind of give this a good cleaning. And I'll clean this up, and I'll get back to you guys again, and I'll show you guys the reel. It'll be all done. Actually, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta service the drag. So I'll show you that. All right, guys, so we're gonna do the drag. It doesn't look too bad, but I already wiped some of the spool. So we're gonna service the drag. It's pretty easy. Just make sure when you take your drag out that you don't lose the spring. So you got the spring that you're gonna pop out like this, right? Now what we're gonna do is take this drag out. Doesn't look that bad. Actually, the drag looks pretty good. It's just a little dirty. It's about it. So what we're gonna do is clean the inside here, wipe it all nice and clean. Okay. It's a lot of wet oil in there. Obviously, that's from water getting inside there. Get a Q-tip. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to clean it, especially if there's any debris in there. You want to clean that all out of there. I'm very thorough when I clean everything, but that's me. Even this little hole, clean that out. That's where the shaft goes in. You don't want any old dirt and grease going onto your shaft, because it all gets in there. Somehow it always just works its way into your reel. So basically I would just clean this all out. In here, just give it a nice little wipe. If it's really dirty, you can use the WD-40. Just a little tiny squirt. And what I do is just put a little squirt in there, get some Q-tips, just kind of, you know, Q-tips. I think I got the cheap Q-tips. Anyways, kind of get any old grease out if you see any old grease, just get it out of your reel. Do that. Give it a quick wipe. We're gonna be putting some. I usually like to use oil. I like to use oil on that little clicker there. Just do a little quick job. It doesn't have to be like I said. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just any type of debris, just get it out of there. I'm constantly cleaning because I see little bits of salt and sand. All right, so let's just take my oil and dab that. You can dab that there. I got a little piece of. Sorry guys, just a little tiny piece of Q-tip. All right. Now that that's all set, now we're going to get to the drag. Take the drag. As you can see, it's really muddy. Basically just old watery grease with. So these, I think these are Carbon Tex drags, so you kind of just, you can just wipe them off. Doesn't have to be perfect, just get the majority of that old oil off. You know, just like that. It is a lot. Another thing I recommend, if you guys are gonna not use a reel, no need for you to have your drag tightened on the off season. Just loosen it up. If you have especially if you don't have Carbon Tex drags, but I mean, if you have like felt drags, stuff like that, that needs oil, you don't want to squeeze the oil out of it or the grease, you know, because what happens is you have it on tight and it just sits there on the off season for, you know, it's just going to dry it out and your drags are just going to crack and they're not going to be no good. You're going to have to get new drags. So this paper towel is not helping me. Just keep doing that until you get most of the majority of that nasty oil off it. But there really is a lot. Pretty much it. I service them. We got the air washer that goes there. Okay. Try to keep them the same way when you take them off and you put them back the same way. That way your drag works well. You can see these drags are really, really bad. It's just from not being serviced, just sitting there with moisture and salt and water, whatever. Ugh. Pretty gross. Right, guys? What do you think, right? Nasty. So what I like to do is I have this little bit of cow's grease. This cow's grease, like a dry grease. And what I do is I put a little bit, just a tiny bit, not a whole lot, on my drags. It does help a little better. Works a little better. I just put a little bit on like that on both sides, just so they're not too dry. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but I do. Works well. You put this washer in. The next one, same thing. You just repeat this process. Hands are all black. And get the air washer, you put that in. Get your other drag. Pop that in. Get your other air washer. Pop that in. Take a little spring. You want to pop this back in. Just make sure you keep your thumb in there because you don't want it to go zinging somewhere. If you lose it, you're going to be sorry. And make sure it's in that groove. Sometimes it just tends not to fit into the groove. You want it inside that little groove that's in there. All the way around. That's it. And that's it for the service and repair on this reel. I'm sure the customers are going to be really happy. Just a little wipe. Try and do this kind of fast so I can show you guys for the video. I don't normally go this fast. I usually take a lot, my time. Pop that back on. Like that. You want to tighten it up. Test your drag. Oh yeah. It's working good. Loosen that up. Put your little side cap back on. Make sure the handle is nice and snug. There you go, nice and smooth reel. Here's the anti-reverse switch. Working really nice. Bail's working nice. Bait runner. Working good. She's ready to go. Catch some nice fish. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. And I hope this can help you guys in the future if you want to work on your own reels. If not, just give me a call. All right, guys, take care.